Okay, guys. I just started it. I forgot to warn you. I just started the video, so we just started. So we're going to talk about simplifying rational expressions today. Rational expressions, though, that are going to be more complicated than what we normally think of. It's not just a fraction, you know, with like 2/3 in it. It's going to be like 2x plus 6 over x squared minus 7x plus, you know, something, right? It's going to be that kind of thing. So first of all, before we actually move into simplifying them, let's just review and remember factoring, okay? Because there's lots of different kinds of factoring. I chose to only, for the homework, most of it's just going to be factoring out the greatest common factor and factoring trinomials, okay? So factor out a greatest common factor. If I have 4x plus, I don't know, 24, what could I do? Factoring out the greatest common factor. You know what? This is really noisy. Is it right there?
They're like, hey guys, we should play Roblox when we get home.
You know the camera's on.
They're harassing you.
Go unsubscribe from Logan Paul.
Whoa.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All right, sorry, I had to tell them to be quiet. All right, so what would I do? What is my greatest common factor that I could take out of both of these? 4. So I could do a 4, and I have to, and then I do my parentheses, and I got x plus 6, right?
Yeah.
Yes, everybody remembers this, right? Okay. What if I gave you 6x squared plus, how about 22x? What if I had that? What's my greatest common factor in the numbers?
X.
What goes in both 6 and 22? 2.
And you can take out X.
And I can take out the x with if they, as long as they both have x's, I take out the one with the smaller exponent, remember? Right? So 2x. So what would that leave me here?
3x plus 11.
Exactly. Okay, good. All right. Man, it is noisy.
Can we like tell them to be quiet?
This is really hard.
Very quiet.
Just don't.
Yo, is that the nuclear waste stuff?
I apologize for that video. It's hard to separate sometimes. We were hard like that too one time. You know.
All right, sorry. Once more. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So that was easy. How about if I gave you 8x to the 5th minus, I don't know, 64x squared. What can I take out?
8.
I could take out an 8.
And 2 X's.
X squared. Okay, and then what do I have left?
Oh.
X to the 3rd minus 8x.
X to the 3rd minus 8.
Oh, it's just 8, right?
Minus 8, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, so fist of 5. Everybody pretty clear on these kind? Okay. What? Yes?
So official. FOO.
All right, so now let's talk about trinomials. Let's say I did x squared plus 5x plus 6.
It would be, wait, oh.
So these are quadratic trinomials. What do I do?
Gary.
Remember, this is, do I need to use Gary's trick?
X plus 3.
I don't use Gary's trick because the number in front of the x squared is just a 1, right?
I know.
I only use Gary's trick. We're not going to do that today. We're going to review that maybe tomorrow, Gary's trick with my group. You know, but, so I'm just keeping it simple for now. Just simple trinomials that basically, remember, you're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 6 but add to be 5.
It's 2 and 3.
Okay, and so if the factors of 6, 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5, well, those are my numbers. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I just go like this, x plus 2 times x plus 3. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
Remember that? Does that make sense? Do you remember it?
I got it.
Okay, so let's try another one. Let's say x squared plus 10x plus 24.
It
So I'm looking for two numbers.
Yeah, 6 and 4.
Okay, 6 times 4 is 24. 6 plus 4 is 10, right? So immediately it's going to be x plus 6 times x plus 4. Right? Easy, right? You guys remember this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What if I gave you this one? X squared minus minus 10x wait a minute, hang on a second. Yeah. Plus 21.
It would be. Wait.
So yeah, Jack. Negative 7, because I've got a positive 21, but the only way to add them up to get a negative is if they're both negative, right? Remember that? So negative 3 times negative 7, and that adds together to that. So it's going to be x minus 3 times x minus 7. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. What if I gave you this one? X squared, whoops, yeah, x squared, let me think for a second. Minus 3x minus 18.
Okay.
So I'm looking for factors of negative 18 that add to negative 3.
It would be negative 6 and 3.
Negative 6 and 3. Is that, everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
I'm not going too fast, right? Everybody remembers this, right? I just want to be sure. Everybody remembers it. Right? Tom, you remembering this? Making sense? Okay. So then it's going to be x minus 6 times x plus 3. Yes? All right, so now we're going to put it all together. And we're going to put it together by simplifying rational expressions. Okay, so for example, let me just look at what my first one was, just in case.
Like, yeah, he's like,
All right, so here's our first example. How about like 2x plus 4 over 3x plus 6? Okay. Oh, wait, yeah.
You put the factors together.
So the question is, can I factor the 2 out of the 4 and the 6?
no.
No, I can't. Why?
Because they're two separate.
Because it's not 4 and 6, it's 2x plus 4.
Yes.
And 3x plus 6, right? They belong to each other. I mean, it's the same thing.
You subtract 2x plus
So,
4.
the first thing you do when simplifying is you ignore the denominator, right? And factor just the numerator.
That's the top on
Whoops, okay? All right, I'm ignoring the denominator. I'm just looking at the numerator. Can I factor the numerator?
that. Yep.
What would it be?
It would be 2 parentheses.
I can
x plus
factor out of 2. So I'm going to go 2 parentheses x plus 2. All right, now I'm going to, the second step is ignore the numerator and factor denominator. Can I factor this denominator?
Yeah.
3,
And then x plus 2.
x plus 2.
They have 2.
Now I have products. I have this times this blob. Does that make sense? And I have this times this blob. As long as they're being times, the blobs can be removed, not destroyed. Can be crossed out. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So I could get rid of my x plus 2's, and suddenly this mess here
It's 2.
is just 2/3.
Woo.
Okay? Does that make sense? It's really not that hard. When you see the whole thing at once, you freak out. Or initially, right? But then you realize, well, wait a minute. Ignore the denominator, just factor the numerator. Then ignore the numerator, just factor the denominator. Then see if there's any like terms that can be crossed out. Does that make sense? Okay, so that was number 1. Let's try this one. How about 2x plus 4 over x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, using this approach, I'm going to, that looks scary right now or confusing, right? But not when I just take it in one step at a time. I'm going to ignore the denominator and I'm going to just factor the numerator. What can I do?
2x plus 2.
Right, so suddenly it's 2 parentheses x plus 2. And what is my denominator going to be? I've got to
X
find factors of
plus
8.
4 and x plus 2.
X plus 4, x plus 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 plus 4 is 6. Okay, so x plus 4, x plus 2. Okay, everybody agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tom, you taking notes?
No.
Yeah, you should be, buddy. And what can I do now? This is the last part.
You can, there are 2 blobs, the x plus 2.
Right, the x plus 2 blob and the x plus 2 blob. I don't need them, right? They can cross out because x plus 2 over x plus 2 is 1, right? So those cross out. And my final answer is 2 over x plus 4. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that would be my answer. Okay, 3. What if I gave you x plus 5 over x squared minus 2x minus 15? Wait a minute, hang on, no, sorry, wrong one. Minus 2x minus, yeah, actually, yeah, that works, 15. I think that works. Okay, sometimes it's tricky making these up on the spot, but I'm trying. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ignore my denominator. I'm going to factor my numerator. How can I factor my numerator?
Okay.
I can't.
You can
Okay.
take 1 out.
So I'll just leave it. So I've got x plus 5 upstairs. How can I factor my denominator? Factors of negative
It's
15.
negative 5 and 3.
Whoa.
Negative 5 and positive 3 would give me negative 2, right? And it'll give me negative 15 if I multiplied it. So suddenly I've got x minus 5 times x plus 3. And what can I do now?
You can't do anything.
You're right! All right.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. I mean, no, there's nothing else I can do because I don't have like terms upstairs and downstairs. I have an x plus 5, but I have an x minus 5 there, so I can't go any further. But so that would be my answer, okay? Now, if I had made that a plus 2x, which is what I should have done, then I would have had an x plus 5 and an x plus 5 and an x minus 3, and then the x plus 5s could be crossed out, right? But I didn't, right? So that's okay. So now, can I erase? All right, so what if I gave you something like this? Am I on number 3 or 4? 4? Okay, what if I gave you this? X plus 2x plus 1 over x squared, sorry. X squared, let's see.
Very gay.
My brain. X. What did I just say? Okay.
Just do the exact same thing on the bottom.
How about 8x plus 7? All right. So with this now they're not, there's neither one of them are factoring out a greatest common factor, right? They're just factoring out your trinomials, right? Or factoring your trinomials. So I'm going to ignore my downstairs, right? Upstairs, what would this be? Factors of 1 that add to 2.
X plus 1.
Right. So it'd be just x plus 1 times x plus 1. What would this one be?
X plus 7 and x plus 1.
X plus 7. times x plus 1. So what can I do?
One.
I can cross out one of these, right? There's one down here, so I can take one of them away here, right? But there's still going to be one left over, so that so that's going to stay here. So my final answer is x plus 1 over x plus 7.
Yay.
That's your final answer. Yeah.
What about for x?
Now you cannot cross out the x's, right? You see why?
Yeah,
Because
but-
it's not x over x. It's x plus 1 over x plus 7. Those are totally different, right? What?
No, but how would you figure out x?
Well, you can't, because these are not equations. These are just expressions.
Oh, okay.
Once they're equations, then you can, but you can't when they're expressions, right? We're just practicing. We're practicing the, simplifying by factoring. Okay, does that make sense? Fist of 5. You guys feel like you get it? Does that make sense? Awesome. That's great. All right, so I think I'm going to just give you the homework. Is that okay?
Yay.
Then you can get started.